Hello and welcome to MTG Burgeoning, a yo channel for all things magic. In this video today, we are going to add the next 20 creature cards with mana values of 3 into our Momir Vig Cube. Greetings and salutations to the MTG BC. You are the MTG Burgeoning community. Welcome to another installment of our ongoing Momir Vig Cube Series. Now, if you are a little unfamiliar with the goals and purpose of this series, then you can skulk down in the description below and you can click the link to MTG Burgeoning's introduction to the Momir Vig Cube. And while you're down there skulking away, you can also click the link to Cube Cobra, where you can see the entire contents of the cube as it stands right now. So for today, we've got 20 creature cards with CMCs of 3 heading into the cube, and we're beginning with a mono white cat. It is the Stalking Leonin. Here we have a 3/3 cat soldier, and when it comes into play, we secretly choose an opponent. Can't tell anyone who it is. It's a secret. Then we reveal the player we chose, and when we do that, we exile target creature that's attacking us if it's controlled by the chosen player, and we can activate this ability only one time. So I guess we'll have to pull out a little sheet of paper, little phone memo or something, but that is a very nice ability, particularly in a Momir Vig Cube format where there are no instants or sorcery spells. Any removal has to come from the creatures themselves, and Stalking Leonin has a very nice ability. All right, creature number 2, we're going multicolored here with Tagic, Legion's Edge. All right, here we got a 3/2 human soldier with haste and the Mentor mechanic. Now, Mentor is whenever Tagic is attacking, or whenever it attacks, let's put it that way, we put a +1/+1 counter on a target attacking creature with lesser power. So we can't put the counter on Tagic himself. And Tagic also has an ability that prevents all non-combat damage that will be dealt to other creatures we control. So again, there are no instants or sorcery spells, but, however, there are a lot of other creatures that could deal some direct damage to creatures that are in the Momir Vig Cube. Tagic will prevent all of that damage, except it can't prevent it to himself, but hey, he's a legendary human soldier for a reason, folks. And as an additional bonus, we can pay Boros colors, and Tagic Legion's Edge gains first strike until end of turn. Again, that ability can only be activated with red and white mana, so you better make sure that your basic land library is stocked with those mountains and plains. All right, we went white with the first creature. We're going white with the third creature. This time it is Taranika, a Crowan veteran. We have a 3/3 human soldier, back-to-back human soldiers, folks. All right, and when Taranika attacks, we untap another creature we control, and until end of turn, that creature has base power and toughness 4/4 and gains indestructible. So clearly, we want another creature attacking with Taranika so that we can utilize his ability on that creature, untapping it, hopefully boosting its power and toughness from whatever it is to 4/4 and giving it indestructible. Remember, in a format like Momir Vig, where combat is going to be the primary path to victory, any ways that we can enhance combat on our side of the battlefield is always going to be a good thing. All right, creature number 4, our first mono red edition. It is a Changeling, and of course, Changeling means that this card is every creature type at all times. It's the Taurian Mauler, a 2/2 shapeshifter, and whenever an opponent casts a spell, we may, I'm pretty sure we will, put a +1/+1 counter on Taurian Mauler. In a round of turns, if we have each opponent summoning creatures from the Momir Vig Cube, the Taurian Mauler could get pretty big pretty quickly and is definitely a very powerful value play from the 3 spot. All right, we've reached the 1/4 mark of this video, and we have a mono green creature as creature number 5, and we're going old school, back to the days where they did not have colored rarity symbols. It is the Tempting Licid from Stronghold. If you were a fan of Magic back in the day, you know all about the Licids. I want to hear about it in the comment section below. So here we have a 2/2 Licid that we can pay a green mana and tap, and Tempting Licid loses this ability and becomes a creature enchantment that reads, all creatures able to block enchanted creature must do so, instead of it being a creature. We can move Tempting Licid, I almost said lizard, Tempting Licid onto target creature. Notice it says target creature. It does not have to be a creature we control, but I don't see why we are going to help out an opponent. And then we can pay a green mana to end this effect. So what this is going to do basically is going to create, the creature is going to become a lure, which lure is an aura that forces all creatures to block this creature if able. So what we can do, and it's a very nice win condition here in Momir Vig, we have Tempting Licid become this enchantment, slide it on over to one of our lesser powerful creatures, and then we attack our opponent with everything, and all of our opponent's creatures must block the creature that's being enchanted by Tempting Licid, and then the rest of our creatures just swim right in for uncontested combat damage. And one of the best parts about that is right before the creature is dealt combat damage, we can pay that green mana and end the effect of it being an aura, so it just falls off, and Tempting Licid just stays a creature on the battlefield. That is going to be one of the sneakiest plays we can make from the 3 spot. We're going from sneaky plays from the 3 spots to some unbelievable power, particularly in the Momir Vig format, and that comes in the form of Terravor. We're going all the way back to the time of Odyssey. That's 2001, and I'm pretty sure that that's not a coincidence. We have a Lurgoyf here that has Trample, and a star down there for its power and toughness. What's its power and toughness, you ask? Well, Terravor's power and toughness are each equal to the number of land cards in all graveyards. So why is that so good here in Momir Vig? Remember, in order to summon a copy of a creature from the Momir Vig Cube, we must discard a card from our hand. The only cards that can be in our hands are the cards that we draw from our library, and the only cards in our library are basic lands. So every single time a creature is summoned from the Momir Vig Cube, its summoner is discarding a land straight to their graveyard. That just makes Terravor an unbelievable terror. Can you imagine coming down in the 3 spot as a 12/12 trample? If that game isn't over soon after, I don't know why it isn't. All right, we are staying old school here. We went Odyssey, we went Stronghold, and now we're going even older with our first mono blue creature. We're going back to the days of Tempest, that's 1997, and here we have the Thalicos Dream Sour. We have a 1/1 wizard with Shadow. Oh, what a wonderful mechanic Shadow was back in the day. A creature with Shadow can only block creatures with Shadow, and a creature that has Shadow can only be blocked by creatures with Shadow. So pretty much, unless a creature under our opponent's side of the battlefield has Shadow, Thalicos Dream Sour is going to be unblockable. And as an additional bonus, when Thalicos Dream Sour damages any opponent, we tap target creature. So it doesn't have to be the creature that the opponent is dealt damage. It could be a different opponent. And as long as Thalicos Dream Sour remains tapped, that creature does not untap during its controller's untap phase. And as an additional bonus, we may choose not to untap Thalicos Dream Sour during our untap phase. So if you are fortunate enough to have this bad boy land on your side of the battlefield, you're looking like you're going to be able to control a lot of the creatures in play, particularly if they are trying to break through for your combat damage. All right, we're moving on to creature number 8. We're back to mono red, and we have a bird beast with flying. It is a 2/3. It is the Thought-Bound Primarch. At the beginning of our upkeep, if a player controls more wizards than any other player, he or she gains control of Thought-Bound Primarch. Now notice that this is not a wizard itself. This is just a bird beast. But if there's any opponent that has a wizard in play, well, at the beginning of our turn, we are losing this bird beast haste to that opponent. Ooh, no one ever said that every single creature in the Momir Vig Cube is uber helpful or uber powerful. If you've been following this series along since its inception, you know that to be the case. All right, we're back to mono white, and we're going a little further into the future from the days of Onslaught and Tempest and Odyssey and Stronghold. Let's hit it off with some Dark Ascension. Here we have Thraben Doomsayer, a 2/2 human cleric. We can tap to create a 1/1 white human creature token. In a format like Momir Vig, where everything is creature-driven, any creatures that can create creatures are extremely valuable. And here, Thraben Doomsayer can turn sideways once every round of turns to put one of those 1/1 creatures right onto our side of the battlefield. And as an additional bonus, and I'm not so sure if this is a good bonus to have, because this means that our life total is pretty low. This has the Fateful Hour mechanic, and as long as we have 5 or less life, other creatures we control get +2/+2. If we're down to our last 5 or less life, we might be needing more than just a double Anthem effect for our side of the battlefield. All right, rounding off the top half of the creatures in this video, we're back to mono red, and we have Tilanali's Skin Shifter. We're going to Ixalan here. We have a 0/1 human shaman with haste, and whenever this creature attacks, it becomes a copy of another target non-legendary attacking creature until end of turn. So can you imagine if we're fortunate enough to be in the game to hit those biggins in the 7 and 8+ tier of the mana for our Simic Visionary avatar? Ooh, baby, and we can turn this bad boy sideways and have it become a copy of another non-legendary creature, no matter what it is. Ooh, that could spell doom to a certain set of opponents that are sitting at the Momir Vig table with us. All right, we're beginning the second half of our creatures with a mono blue edition, and this one is older than Tempest. We're going all the way back to, look at that, it doesn't even have a rarity symbol. Here we go, folks. It is Time Elemental. How about this for a blast from the past? This is a 0/2, and if it attacks or blocks, it deals 5 damage to us, and it then is buried at the end of combat. That just means that we sacrifice it. So why is this even put into this Momir Vig Cube, aside from just trying to have a little bit of fun with the player that fortunately or unfortunately summons a copy of this to their side of the battlefield? Well, it's that activated ability at the bottom of the card that reads, pay 2 and 2 blue mana, tap, return target permanent with no enchantments on it to its owner's hand. So, remember, every single creature that's summoned from the Momir Vig Cube is a token copy of the creature. So if we turn Time Elemental sideways by paying 2 and 2 blue mana, and we bounce a creature from the battlefield back to its owner's hand, once that creature leaves the battlefield and goes, quote-unquote, to the player's hand, the token ceases to exist. So this is a kill creature card. But you gotta make sure, MTG BC, you better be packing those islands in your basic land library, because you're gonna need 2 of them and 2 other mana to activate Time Elemental's bounce ability. All right, we're gonna shift away from mono blue and get back to some mono green creatures. Here we have Tireless Provisioner. It's a 3/2 elf scout that has the landfall mechanic. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under our control, we'll create a food token or a treasure token. Food token, we can pay 2 and sacrifice it to gain 3 life. And of course, for treasure, we can tap and sacrifice to get 1 mana of any color until end of turn. That is a fantastic way to accelerate our mana and start summoning copies of creatures from the Momir Vig Cube way ahead of curve. Not to be outdone, if we have 1 Tireless Provisioner, then we must have right after a Tireless Tracker. This is also a 3/2. It's not an elf scout, but it's a human scout. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under our control, we investigate, which means we create a clue token. We can pay 2 and sacrifice the clue token to draw a card. Again, more cards in hand, more lands in our hand, more opportunities to summon creatures from the Momir Vig Cube by discarding those lands or by putting lands onto our side of the battlefield, which we're going to need to do in order to generate the mana to pay to get our creatures from the Momir Vig Cube. And as an additional bonus, whenever we sacrifice a clue, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on Tireless Tracker. So as we have lands coming into play nearly every turn, we're getting clues, we're cracking the clues, we're drawing more lands, Tireless Tracker gets bigger and bigger and bigger until maybe we can turn it sideways and then win the game. All right, with a third consecutive landfall mechanic, we have Tago, Goblin Weaponsmith, a 2/2 Goblin Artificer. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under our control, we create a colorless equipment artifact token named Rock. And this Rock has, equipped creature has pay 1, tap, sacrifice Rock. This creature deals 2 damage to any target, and the equip cost is only 1. So again, like we were saying earlier in this video, there are no instant and sorcery spells in the Momir Vig Cube, so any removal is going to have to come from the creatures themselves, and Tago does a great job of that by slinging around 2 points of damage as often as he can create those rocks and then throw them. All right, next up we have reached the 3/4 mark of our video, and that's our first monocolor addition to this video, and it is the Trespassing Soul Eater. Oh man, you gotta love the name of that card, the Trespassing Soul Eater. It's a 2/2 construct, and it has an activated ability that is activated by blue Phyrexian mana. Now, for blue Phyrexian mana, we either pay a blue mana or we can pay 2 life. So in this instance, we're not hurt if we're not diversifying our basic land deck by not having any libraries. By not having any islands, we could still pay the 2 mana to activate Trespassing Soul Eater's ability, and that is, it's unblockable until end of turn. Again, in a format like this, any damage that can slide in and be uncontested, that's going to go a long way to determining who's going to claim victory in that game. All right, creature number 16, we're going back to mono blue, and this is a doozy. We have True Name Nemesis. Here we have a 3/1 Merfolk Rogue, and when True Name Nemesis comes into play, we choose a player. True Name Nemesis has protection from the chosen player. That means that it cannot be blocked, it cannot be targeted, it can't be dealt damage, or enchanted by anything controlled by that player. If we have any way to get some kind of power boosts with other creatures on our side of the battlefield to jack up True Name Nemesis, we pretty much will own that one opponent. All right, next up, we are back to mono red, and we have Tuk Tuk the Explorer. We got a 1/1 goblin with haste, and when it dies, we create Tuk Tuk the Returned, a legendary 5/5 colorless goblin golem artifact creature token. So we're going to get 2 for the price of 1, and in this format, creatures that make creatures are very, very valuable. All right, next up, we're going to another mono green edition, and I want everybody to think back a moment when we were talking about Tempting Licid and exactly how it becomes an enchantment that has the lure ability. And that creature is Turn Timber Basilisk. We're going back to the days of Zendikar, OG Zendikar here. All right, we have a 2/1 Death-Touching Basilisk that has the landfall mechanic. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under our control, we may have target creature block Turn Timber Basilisk this turn if able. So this isn't exactly the pure lure that we were talking about with Tempting Licid, but we still get to pick and choose whatever creature we want to see go to our opponent's graveyard, because remember, this 2/1 with Death Touch, when it deals combat damage to that creature go bye-bye. All right, folks, MTG BC, we got 2 creatures left. Number 19, it's another multicolored creature, and this time it's coming from Commander Legends. We have Tuya Bearclaw. Oh, baby, I'll take a Bearclaw any day of the week. And you know you want to take it twice on Sunday morning. All right, here we got Tuya Bearclaw. It's a 2/2 human warrior. Whenever it attacks, it gets +X/+X till end of turn, where X is the greatest power among other creatures we control. Note that those other creatures do not have to also be attacking. So if we've got a 5/5 sitting back and we just want to send Tuya into play, well, Tuya's going to become a 7/7, and that's going to be A-OK in our books. All right, folks, we are down to creature number 20. It is a mono blue edition from Shadows over Innistrad. We have Uninvited Geist. It is a 2/2 spirit with Skulk. And the not-so-popular mechanic of Skulk means that this creature cannot be blocked by creatures with greater power. So any creature that has a power greater than 2 will not be able to block Uninvited Geist. And when this creature deals combat damage to a player, we get to transform it. And when we do, it transforms into the Unimpeded Trespasser, which is then a 3/3 spirit that simply cannot be blocked. There's no skulking around. There's no additional abilities. It's just a straight 3/3 that cannot be blocked. All right, there we have it. MTG BC. The next 20 creature cards with converted mana costs of 3 have now entered into the Momir Vig Cube. Let me know in the comments section which are your favorites. This is MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things Magic.